Minnesota 8th District Congressman Rick Nolan is the target of a barrage of Republican advertising with a tough emotional edge.
The ads from the Republican Congressional Committee make the claim that the Democratic congressman is soft on terrorists. Is this true? We asked Pat Kessler to reality check the claims.
Are they coming?
It's hard to tell apart the ad against Rick Nolan and the opening credits for the TV terrorism show Homeland. This is the anti-Nolan ad.
What we don't know is why Congressman Rick Nolan voted to release terrorists held at Guantanamo Bay and then voted against funding for our troops fighting the war on terror.
This ad from the National Republican Congressional Committee is a significant distortion of Nolan's votes. Here's why. After President Obama traded 5 Guantanamo Bay prisoners for Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, Nolan voted against an amendment forbidding the use of funds for any future prisoner exchanges. That's not a vote to release terrorists.
And then voted against funding for our troops fighting the war on terror.
Nolan voted in favor of an amendment to stop funding for a resolution authorizing the use of military force. That's not a vote against funding troops. Nolan voted yes for the Department of Defense bill, which increased military funding by $4 billion. This ad against Rick Nolan? Misleading. That's Reality Check.
Well, after the rise of ISIS, soft on terrorism is a deliberate ad strategy for Republicans nationwide against Democrats. And similar ads like the one against Nolan here in Minnesota are running in Iowa, New York, New Hampshire, and North Carolina. And I think we'll see it in other places, too.
Is it an effective strategy, though, playing the terrorism card?
You know, in some ways, I think it really is. It can be very effective, even if it is not true. Polls are showing right now that the vast majority of Americans think ISIS is a serious threat and that President Obama has been too cautious dealing with it. But there's little talk about what Republicans would do differently, and some of them are voting the same way as the Democrats are voting, Amelia, the same way that Rick Nolan is voting. So it's very interesting to watch. I do think we're going to see more of that.
All right. Thank you, Pat.
You bet.